How do you stay spiritually steady when nothing is changing? I want to talk to you, the parent who's been praying and standing and trying to stay steady, but nothing looks different. The same patterns, same concerns. And this is where it gets hard, not because you don't believe God can move, but because you don't see anything moving. And when that happens, there's another layer that begins to show up: pressure and discouragement. Thoughts that start to sound like this ain't working and nothing's changing. How long it's going to take? This is where spiritual warfare becomes very real. Not always in what's happening around you, but what's happening in you. If the enemy can't control your child, he will try to destabilize you, your thoughts, your peace, your consistency. Because if you become discouraged enough, you'll pull back and you'll stop praying. You'll feel overwhelmed enough, you'll go back into carrying. And if your thoughts stay in fear long enough, you'll lose your steadiness. And this is why this moment matters so much. Because staying steady is not passive, it's intentional. In scripture, it says, Ephesians 6 and 13, and after you have done everything, to stand. Stand. Not react, not carry, not force. Stand. Now, I want to slow that word down because it is easy to overlook. Standing means you don't move out of position just because you don't see change yet. You don't let your thoughts pull you out. You don't let discouragement shift you, and you don't let fear start leading you again. You stay. You stand. That's spiritual strength. Now, let's make this real. Let's say your child makes another decision that concerns you. Nothing new has changed. Then immediately your mind wants to go to, here we go again, or it's getting worse, nothing's working. Okay. That is the moment. That is where the battle is, not just in what they did, but in what tries to happen in you next. Because if you follow those thoughts, you'll feel it. Your emotions will shift, your body tenses, you feel the urge to react, and now you're no longer steady. So, what does standing look like? It looks like pausing. Mhm. It looks like recognizing this is where I get pulled. And instead of following, you come back to truth. God, you are still working, even if I don't see it. I don't have to come into agreement with that fear. I can stay grounded right here. See, same situation, but different response. And that is where your strength builds. Okay, let's go deeper. Staying steady is not just about what you do in the moment, it's also about what you practice throughout the day. Because if your thoughts are constantly going back to fear, if your mind is always in worst case scenarios, you're going to feel unstable. Mhm. That is why Isaiah 26 and 3 says, you will keep in perfect peace those whose mind are steadfast. The word steadfast, that means your mind isn't moving with every thought that shows up. It's anchored, not perfectly, but intentionally. And that is what keeps your peace stable, even when your situation is not. Let me say this: staying steady does not mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you ignore what's happening. It means you don't let it control you. And that's the difference. Because the goal is not to feel nothing, the goal is not to be led by everything you feel. Let's talk about something else that happens in this season: delay. Mhm. Delay can be one of the hardest parts of this spiritual warfare. Because when you don't see change, your mind starts filling in the gaps. Maybe this isn't working. Maybe nothing's happening. Maybe this is just how it's going to be. But scripture reminds us in Galatians 6 and 9, Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Notice, if we do not give up, because weariness is part of the battle. Not because you're weak, but because this matters. And this is where many parents start to pull back, not at once, but slowly. Less prayer, more overthinking, less steadiness, and they don't even realize it's happening. So, how do you stay steady when nothing is changing? Well, I'm glad you asked. You don't try to figure everything out. You don't force yourself to feel strong. You come back to what's true over and over and over again, as many times as you have to. You release what you're carrying and you realign your thoughts and you pray from that place. Not all at once, but consistently. And consistency is what builds stability. So if you've been feeling like this is taking longer than I thought, trust me, you are not alone. But this is where your strength is built, not in the outcome, but in how you stay steady while you're waiting. Now, as we close this series, I want you to take this with you. You are not powerless in this. You are positioned. You are not responsible for the outcome, but you are responsible for what you agree with and how you respond and how you stay aligned. And that matters more than you realize. Because when you stay steady, you don't just survive the process, you grow in it. And that changes everything.